Europe and Africa, there have been a lot of changes and new political guidance and intentions to change the partnership. On the European side, there's a strong competition which Europe is facing in Africa, and Europe is trying to change the approach, the language of the partnership, really wanting to move towards a partnership of equals. And at the same time, Africa has been, dealing with an increasing number of partners to which China is really posing more difficulties for Europe in positioning itself and making sure that Europe remains, as they want, the partner of preference or of reference for Africa. So that's the context, the geopolitical context within which this summit is taking place, where Europe is trying to strengthen or make sure that it is not forgotten in Africa, and where Africa has more diversity in the choice of its partners. And this is indeed an important change of context within which this summit is taking place. Well, some of the main issues at this summit, on the agenda of this summit, are really linked to dealing with the immediate and the social and economic impact of COVID, which has really changed the context and what initially the EU wanted to put on the table. So I think this would really be one of the main sticky points, and this the question of vaccines, access to vaccines, but also production of vaccines across Africa. This is really something which was not planned, so to say, a few years back. But when it comes to what the EU, the key themes that EU wants to push and promote and strengthen the partnership with Africa on relate to climate, so climate change, adapting to climate change, transitioning to green energy. So this is really what the EU is trying to push globally, also within its frontiers, to transition towards a more green energy and economy. But this is not necessarily always perceived and understood in the same way in Africa. So that's one of the issues. The EU is also very concerned and really wants to maintain a strong partnership with Africa on security issues, security matters, which in the recent months have really also continued stirring a lot of discussion and of concerns in Europe and in Africa, in the Sahel in particular, but not only. So this is also one of the main issues which will be discussed, and Europe wants to maintain its position as a partner in those areas. Among the other, I would say, maybe new topics that are on the agenda of this summit and priorities of the EU, also the links to the digital agenda and the digital transition in Africa and how to support that. And again, this has to be contextualized in an environment where the EU is increasingly being contested and put in competition with other powers on those issues. Yes, this is the whole idea to move away from this donor-recipient post-colonial relationship, which has characterized Europe-Africa relations for the past 50 years or so, because precisely it is a continuation of the historical ties between some European member states who maintain strong ties and cooperation with Africa and have continued to seek to maintain their influence, and notably using development cooperation and development aid for that matter. I think the context is very different nowadays, new generations, but also because the place of development cooperation and development aid in general is much smaller in comparison to other sources of influence. So even aid itself does not represent that much. So I think it's a good timing indeed to move away from this donor-recipient based on aid. What will be the outcome of the summit? If we look at previous summits, yes, it's a big event, nice photographer opportunity, nice decorations. Everyone is speaking the same language. And does everyone understand the same thing when they use the same words? Not necessarily, and that's really the next step is really go beyond that. So the first is really to ensure that we all agree on what we have committed to in the declaration. So unpacking the concept. Sometimes some words have different understandings or implications when we turn into operational terms. And I think what is really missing from this partnership is a proper monitoring and follow-up mechanism. Usually these summits take place every 3 years. There's a strong build-up, but there's no follow-up.